Hello, hello. I'm doing something very interesting right now. Um, first of all, I've plastered my hair down because if I don't, then it's like I have these wings the way it's cut right now. So, what I'm doing, first of all, hello, everybody. Um, if you are live in my free Facebook group or watching the replay, um, and if you're seeing this as a podcast episode, then hello, hello, and or or all of the above. If you're seeing this um, posted in day 6 of the paid journey, Wealth the Conjuring, and yeah, I'm using this video for all 3 purposes. To go, I'm trying not to laugh too hard because I don't want to blow my candle out. Um, But if I did, I would light it again. So that's okay. So yeah, it just sort of all came together, and the name of the episode and or class and or Facebook Live is My Soul and Prosperity Journey, a Truth Serum. And I've known what I'm about to say for a long time, but you know how sometimes you can know something consciously. I'm sorry, know something, but as sort of like a background noise kind of thing. No, Baxter. Um, but you sort of don't bring it fully into your consciousness. So first of all, before I even go into that, I want to mention the lighting. I'm recording this at a time that normally I would normally be recording in the afternoons, let's put it that way. And sometimes even in the evening. But what time is it? 11:20 a.m., which is pretty unusual for me. And it's sunny outside, so the sun's coming in the window. It's sort of I don't know if you'd call it a transom, kind of above the French windows in the dining room where I am. And there are no curtains or shades, and so the sun's just pouring in, and so that actually lends itself to what I'm about to say, the realization that I made, the thing that I've known in the back of my mind for a very long time, but that it really just sort of hit me, or I was in a space where I actually allowed it to flow fully into my consciousness, and that is this: that while I've been at it, on the spiritual journey, on the path, the shaman's path, and sort of my inner soul journey and awakening, even though I've been on that whole path since 1994, well, 93 really, but 94, the summer of 94 feels like the what's the word, the official beginning, when I really knew what I was starting to get into, and I said yes to. But so God, no matter what, my hair is always doing something bizarre. And in the sunshine, it just looks like little twigs coming. Okay, I'll be a tree today, every day. But yeah, so while I've been on that journey for a very, 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 very long time, I've only ever really shared all that I've learned and realized, sort of the universal and soul level ahas and teachings that I've received. I've really only ever shared that with my direct, either my clients directly, or to my small email list, or and so if someone knows about me, my true soul's journey from the beginning through now, that's a very, very small group and circle of people. And it hit me that since visibility is one of the medicines I carry, and bring into circle with and facilitate for my healer tribe. I really want to have full disclosure about my own true soul's path and prosperity path, and how I came to be a prosperity shaman for healers. So and it's funny, the truth serum part that attached itself to the title of this episode, this class, I said, well, right, because the reason that came through is because I'm going to be telling the truth, right? And it was like, well, sort of. But the soul and prosperity journey, the journey itself, is the truth serum. Being on the journey the way that I have been for however long, that I have been, has brought me to this crazy hair, to this point where I can actually bring myself to share my truth in a bigger way and be more visible myself, and not hold anything back, no matter how weird it seems. Now, and it's funny, if you know me, you're probably thinking, well, she's never held back. She's always sharing the weirdest stuff, right? It's like, yes and no. and the thing, truly, I don't think any of it really is weird. I think that the fear of being seen as weird or perceived as weird, or I can't think of the word right now, a sort of labeled weird, the fear of that has been part of the witch wound, right? Obviously. And since I've gone on my own inner witch wound healing journey, healed my witch wound, and I've been healing all the residue that, the sort of the ghost pain residue left over from the witch wound. Hello, my dear. Mwah! I'm telling the truth today. Truth about my soul. Since I've gone through the whole witch wound healing journey myself, Minerva, leave them alone. The puppies, as usual. It's time for me. It's definitely time for me to stand up and stop being fearful about being perceived as weird or labeled weird. And when the truth is, of course I'm weird. I'm a prosperity shaman, witch, oracle, channel, multidimensional, multifaceted gem of a healer, diamond of the golden realm, yada, yada, yada. I'm weird. So what? I mean, so there's that. So, okay. So it's time to get over that. And that's the main crux of why I'm recording this Facebook Live podcast episode, day 6 of Wealth the Conjuring for my paid clients. Yes, it's a combination of things I'm doing here today. So if you're in the Wealth the Conjuring, the 11-day journey, you will be seeing this posted tomorrow for day 6. If you're not in Wealth the Conjuring, you can totally still join. It's an evergreen journey to summon your wealth witch empire, and it's healersalchemy.com/wealth. Okay, so the journey of my soul and how I came to become Sydney too. Hello. You guys are like my 2 audience members always, and I really appreciate it. Sometimes there's 1 or 2 others. So the journey of my soul and the things that I've realized, realizations I've made along the way, on my inner soul journey and in connection with the universe. So in the beginning of time, I was one of 3 spirit shamans who created Earth. And I know that sounds weird, but but I am weird. So we 3 spirit shamans were assigned to be to make manifest into the physical a planet that is a school, where souls are incarnated to learn the things they need to learn along their soul's journey. Or spirits are incarnated, and it makes sense that I was part of the architect of the school that Earth is, because I've always been interested in school, in learning and teaching. So it's just part of my soul medicine of who I am, and and so I say we were assigned to do this, assigned by the divine. That's how I'll describe and or define it, the power that we all carry. So that was the beginning of my journey on Earth. I was one of the architects of Earth School, and architect / creator / bringing it into the physical, making manifest. Very interesting too. Before I even had the inspiration to create this video / live today, I was on Etsy, and I went to I think I would define it as my favorite Etsy shop, Wicked World. This woman, Bettina, creates the most witchy and magical jewelry, and actually she made my wand. Can't get more witchy than that, right? And I thought, yeah, it's time for me to visit Wicked World. I've gotten rings, necklaces. If you've ever seen any of my very witchy, chunky jewelry, the only one that's easy to grab right now is my citrine amethyst, very witchy ring that I think I'll put on. Anyway, I thought, yeah, it's time for me to look at Bettina, is her name, Bettina's shop again. And so I was looking like, oh yeah, totally awesome, big chunky gemstone rings and cool earrings, and there's a crow ring that's silver with labradorite. I already have one of those, but I saw them on the shop again, and she welds the metals herself, and yeah, she's amazing. And I'm just scrolling and looking and scrolling, and then I see, and she models them too. So it's her hand with all crazy long black nails, or green shimmery nails or whatever, and she's got some sort of little dainty little sort of curly Q tattoos on her hands, and I see her hand, ginormous metal ring with this thing in the center that looks like it's sparkly and it's just so magical. And I thought, oh, that's cool. And I started to scroll down again, and I thought, wait a minute, why am I going past this thing? If it's calling to me, I need to look at it further. Click on it. It's amylite, which is made of the billions of years old crustacean animal ammonite. And their shells had different shimmery colors. And like if you turn it in the light, it like flickers and sort of like flames. And that thing is in the center of this kind of slightly ornate, almost flower-looking metal thing. And it spans across at least 3 fingers, but I think she's wearing it on her middle finger. And I'm like, that giant thing needs to be on my hand. I need that on me. And so I went and created this elaborate Klarna payment plan, and and I purchased the ring because I kept asking, should I really get this? And it was like, yes. Should I get this? Yes. Should I get this? Yes. It's like, oh my God, can't argue with my soul. So yeah, and I thought of that because of the ancient, from the beginning times kind of thing. And then there was ammonite, and now it's considered a gemstone, but it's a creature, amylite. So ancient, this must be the day for just going all the way back to remembering, and I have an ammonite, or an ammonite, it might just be a, what's the word, like I can't think of it, like not the actual animal, but like you put it in and make the imprint, and I don't remember, but it's tiny. It's nothing like the ring, the ring. So yeah, so created Earth School, and then I myself proceeded to become a student of Earth School, as did one of the other spirit shamans. I think the other one just kind of remained a spirit shaman. Fast forward, in several lifetimes, I was a physical shaman. Some of my lifetimes, I went back to being a spirit shaman. What's a spirit shaman? A spirit shaman can do all of the things that a human shaman can do, only they're in spirit and not I almost said incarcerated, incarnated. They're definitely not incarcerated, hopefully. Although that brings on more witch wound stuff, because in several lifetimes I was a what I call a magical witchy healer, and in many of those lifetimes I was either imprisoned or put in the insane asylum, tortured, punished, made fun of in public, in those whatever shackle things. I forget what those are called. All of those things that ended up causing the centuries-old ancient witch wound. I still think it's funny with the lighting, because I never record. I always record in the afternoon or evening, but the way the lighting is hitting, it's like shining a light on the truth. So yeah, went through, and I had other lifetimes too, where even though my soul has always been a shaman, I had sort of, I was going to say non-shamany lifetimes. It's not exactly true. I just, maybe in those lifetimes, I wasn't fully conscious that I'm a shaman on a soul level, and that can never change. So, but in those lifetimes, I was like composers and inventor. I had a wounds come up for healing, for processing and releasing yesterday, that weren't connected to the witch wound, but felt witch woundy. And I thought, okay, so I looked into those, and it was from 2 past lives, and it ended up being 2 past lives during which I was an inventor, but I was not taken seriously. And I would bring my inventions, to people and say, look how amazing this is, and it can do this thing and that. Oh, you're crazy. That's garbage. It'll never work. It'll never pan out. La la la. So I had these horrible. I forget the word that came through yesterday, but basically being passed off as nothing, and that was, I still get a little teary-eyed just, because they're freshly healed yesterday, so it's pretty fresh in my realm. So that was not a nice, good feeling either. So there were those lifetimes. Now, how did I come to be the prosperity shaman, prosperity healer, prosperity teacher for the healers of Earth in this lifetime? Well, for a long time, I didn't know. I was just guided to do it, and I did it, and I've been doing it since 2006. And in those days, I actually held live circles, live prosperity healing circles. And I knew from this one job I had, I knew tons of healers, and it was really fun, really cool. I bought champagne and chocolate, and then we had the prosperity circle, and then we had a party. So, and we did that several Friday nights, not in a row, but I think maybe like monthly or every other week for a while. But yeah, that was really good. So anyway, so fast forward to the end of 2011, when I decided to bring my business fully online, whereas before it had pretty much only been in person, whether it was shamanic healings, whether it was my shamanic apprenticeships back in the day, an in-person healing duo partnership that I formed with another shamanic practitioner, healer, facilitator for a while. But so end of 2011 and moving into 2012, I went fully online, and completely lost my train of thought just now. Now, wait a second. There was a reason I was talking. Oh, so yeah. So when I went fully online, I had been guided to. It was a voice. I thought it was the universe. Ends up it was my soul. It said, "You are now to work with spiritual entrepreneurs and healers and help them in their businesses. You're here to work with people like you and help them in their businesses, help them to be soulfully successful in their healing and spiritual businesses." And so that was my main focus. And then those were back in the days where it's like you have to niche down and only teach one thing. And I was listening to online marketing teachers, and I thought, oh, well, if that's what you have to do, then what's the one thing I teach? And when I asked my soul, what came through was abundance. And so I was like, okay, I'll focus on that. So I did that. And then it was like, but now focus on visibility. So I focused on that. Now focus on both. So I focused on both, you know, and all the while focusing on both of those things were still helping healers with soulful success in their businesses, because abundance, stepping into your abundance vibration, and also, hello, I think that's Alicia Lee. Yes, it's you. Okay. So yeah, 2012, focusing on helping healers succeed in their businesses through shifting into their abundance vibration and stepping out of the fear of visibility and into the light. So I've been focusing on that, some semblance of that since then. But as I went on and on along my own inner journey and making my own ahas and realizations and all of that, it was probably at this point a couple of years ago that I started having these remembrances of, because up until that point, my soul wasn't ready to show me. All I knew is that there were lifetimes that I've had where I did have a lot of money, but all of those lifetimes that were shown to me, it's because it was like my family's money. It wasn't something that I created from within my own soul. So there was one lifetime where I think maybe Japanese, and like, maybe not a princess, but like a higher up, like in a royal family, And I saw myself, beautiful setting. There was like a river or a small lake, and like cherry trees, and like the bank of the river, and very, very peaceful, very, but there was also a sense of like that lifetime who I was, that I didn't feel really very fulfilled, because hanging out on the riverbank under a beautiful flowery tree is a great thing. I'm a big proponent, but I had no sense. I didn't know my purpose. It was sort of listless and, just not vibrant. And so while it was a very peaceful scene that I saw and felt, it was, there was no sort of vitality and oomph in there. So those were my money lifetimes that I knew of thus far. And that's part of why, in my mind, I thought, well, that must be partly why I'm so focused on it in this lifetime and helping other healers with it, because, we nobody has taught healers. Healers have been, what's the word? Well, hurt, wounded, killed for centuries, persecuted. That's the word I was trying to think of. For centuries, and that's not going to teach us how to be abundant and prosperous and value ourselves and be in our abundance vibrations. Hell no. So I step in and I'm like, that's part of my purpose. I am here to bring that medicine to healers. So fast forward to about 2 years ago, this this phrase came into my head, and I thought, because I had already led a program called Billionaire, because I thought, that's so expansive. It's so expansive for healers' money energy to think not just a 6K a year, like a lot of, that's not a bad thing, but millions more expansive, seven figure, not 6K, 6-figure year, 7-figure year. But I wanted more expansion. I'm talking energetic billionaire vibration. And so I thought, ooh, this next 30-day journey, this was however long ago, is going to be called Billionaire, because it just felt so enormously expansive. And I thought, yes. And at some point after that, this phrase, billionaire witch, popped into my head. And I thought, because witches deserve to be billionaires, like this is how expansive we are getting now with the work that I'm doing with my healer community. And I thought, I'm going to just Google the term billionaire witch and see if anyone's using it. Didn't find anyone using it, but I found information about a woman who lived in a different, I don't remember exactly. You know what? Let me look up her birth date and just see when she was alive. Date of birth. Yeah, 1834 she was born. Now this is a woman who was born into a family. Her father and grandfather were businessmen. They were very successful, and she would sit with them while they were conducting their business. When she was a child, she would just like be in that energy and like learn, sort of, soak it in by proxy. And I think at some point when she was really young, she just really showed them she had the business smarts, and she started helping them in their business, and it just came naturally to her/me. And eventually, in that lifetime, I was in business for myself, and I was an independently wealthy woman, which was very strange, very unheard of, who businessmen flocked to for business advice and to ask for loans, and banks asked for her for loans, her/me. And so by looking up billionaire witch, I came to this woman because she/me, we were very quirky and oddly stingy. So it's just an interesting, but the amassment of wealth and riches came very naturally to her/me in that lifetime. And her soul just knew how to magnetize money. And she was actually, in the time that she lived, she was a millionaire. But the amount of money that she had at that time, in the present moment, she would be considered a billionaire. And the way I found her, typing billionaire witch into Google, bringing me to information about her, is because one of her nicknames back then, and not meant in a nice way, meant in a sort of negative or derogatory way, was the Witch of Wall Street. But I thought, ooh, cool. Who cares what they meant by it, whoever called her that. But and yeah, like I've been allowing that lifetime to really soak in and embody in my cells and in my, so that I can be of even more expansive service to my healer tribe, my healers, my witches, my oracles, my shamans, my Lemurians, my starseeds, so that I can bring more and more and more and more wealth medicine in for them. That is my legacy work. I am here to not only help my witchy healer tribe to heal from the witch wound, and process all that old crud out, but to step into their wealth witch self and to create their wealth witch empire. So that is my work. That is what I am here to do. I'm also a healer for the animals. And the way the animals are connected to witchy healers is that the animals have been looked down on, hurt, wounded, killed, because they are not thought of as equals to humans, which is not the truth. But it's their persecution journey, the animals' persecution journey, is very similar to how the witchy healers have been treated for centuries, or were treated for centuries. Not in this lifetime so much, at least not in most civilized areas. I know there are still witch hunts, I've heard tell, in certain parts of the world, and it's, I'm going to say the Ho'oponopono prayer for that. Help heal that part of me which has created that which is external, quote unquote, from me. Yeah. So it doesn't feel like much more wants to be said. I've been shown that there might be a part 2 to this episode. Maybe. We shall see. But the point of coming into the light, woo, for real though, was to tell many truths about myself and my soul. Because if I'm not being fully visible, I can't be the most effective visibility teacher for my people. So there we have it. Now I'm a little lightheaded, which means a deep healing has taken place because I get my physical symbols. And if you know, you know. That's a story for another day. Yes. Oh, I just realized my little prosperity rat has been sitting with us this whole time, right next to the wand. Niev, that's her name, Niev. The wand, not the rat. The rat is either Raphael or, I can't, because I have a little gray rat too. I can't find them right now, but yeah, they're brothers. I found them on the same lawn on 2 different days, so it's a house where children live, but I knew the rats must come to me. And rat totem is prosperity. I don't know if I said that already. Prosperity. So perfect. All right. Thanks for being here. So lovely to see you guys. Mwah, huge kisses. I'm going to finish up on the live and then close out of my alternate recording video system. All right. Bye, guys.